The Resilience Across Borders podcast is intended for education, support, and inspiration. I am not a psychologist or a medical doctor and do not offer any professional, medical, or health advice. If you are dealing with or suffering from any psychological or medical conditions, please seek help from a qualified health professional. Hello and welcome back to Resilience Across Borders podcast. I'm your host, Rachid Zahidi, and also author of the Emo Gym Journal. That is an abbreviation for emotional gym, but most importantly, a guide and workbook to get clear and stay focused on priorities and institute better habits. In today's episode, we'll talk about the difference between healing and avoiding pain and how to tell when, quote, growth stops being productive. So one of the most misunderstood ideas in personal growth is this: not all self-improvement is healing. Some of it is just pain management in disguise. So we journal, we meditate, we read books, we go to therapy, we, quote, work on ourselves, and yet the same patterns repeat, the same triggers flare up, the same relationships hurt us. So why? Because there is a profound difference between addressing and healing pain and avoiding it. And both can look like growth from the outside. So let's unpack, how to tell the difference a little bit more. So number one thing to look at is, or to keep in mind, is healing moves through discomfort. Avoidance moves around it. Healing always requires contact with what hurts. Avoidance builds an elegant detour. If your personal growth practices consistently help you feel calmer, more centered, more intellectual, but never more honest, raw, or emotionally vulnerable, that's a potential red flag. So avoidance feels like I understand why I feel this way without actually feeling it. While healing feels like I don't like this feeling, but I'm processing it and I am staying with it. Go further practical with this is say, okay, during a journaling or meditation, ask, what am I trying not to feel right now? In other words, what feeling am I avoiding right now? Or am I drowning right now? What feeling am I suppressing or sweeping under the rug? Then sit with the body sensations of that feeling for 60 to 90 seconds without analyzing it, just feeling it in all of its form and in its way, color, whatever, however it comes to you, because it won't leave, until you process it properly. If you notice yourself, say, writing 10 pages about your childhood, but skipping over your current loneliness, that's avoidance disguised as insight. Number two, healing reduces emotional charge. Avoidance makes it dormant. So unprocessed pain doesn't go away. It just goes underground. Avoidance creates emotional numbness or temporary relief. Healing creates less reactivity over time. So a key test is, do you get less triggered by the same things? Or are you just better at suppressing your reactions until you're ready to blow? So practical use: track one recurring trigger. Example, how it may be rejection or criticism or abandonment. After each episode, rate the intensity from 1 to 10. So with healing, the number gradually drops. With avoidance, the number stays high, but you talk about it more calmly, but it's still there underneath. And it can pop up at any time and it's unpredictable. So example, if your ex still wrecks your mood months later, even though you've, quote, done the work, the wound is likely being avoided, not processed properly and integrated. Number three, healing changes behavior. Avoidance only changes language. Big difference. Okay, we can say all we want, but if our behavior remains the same, then healing hasn't happened. What has happened is avoidance. So One of the clearest signs of avoidance is when someone sounds very evolved but lives exactly the same. They can articulate their trauma, they can name their attachment style, they can quote their therapist, yet they still choose the same partners, tolerate the same boundaries or boundary violations, repeat the same loops. So, after any insight, ask, what will I do differently this week because of this? If the answer is nothing, you are likely in intellectualized avoidance. For instance, knowing you have an anxious attachment style is not healing. Choosing not to chase someone who withdraws is. See the difference? So, number 4, healing increases your tolerance for truth. Avoidance increases your tolerance for comfort. So, avoidance wants emotional safety. Healing wants emotional honesty. So, avoidance asks, how do I feel better now? And sometimes you'll just do anything to feel better, and even if it's unhealthy. But healing asks what's actually true, even if it hurts. You have to face it. To practice, you can write one sentence you don't want to admit about your current situation. Example, I am staying because I'm afraid of being alone. Say in a relationship, that's not healthy for you, right? Then sit with the discomfort that arises. That discomfort is the doorway to healing. For instance, spiritualizing a toxic relationship. You can quote, say to yourself, we're meant to grow each other. Is often just fear of loss dressed as meaning. See how this can get very confusing or misleading. Or we can simply just lie to ourselves. So number 5, healing leads to simplicity. Avoidance leads to endless processing. True healing feels like closure. Avoidance feels like perpetual self-work. If you find yourself always almost healed, always, quote, working through something, always consuming more content, that's often a sign you are circling the wound instead of touching it. So pause all new self-help inputs for, say, 7 days. No podcasts, no books, no new techniques. Just notice what feelings surface when there is nothing to distract you. Because learning can be a form of avoidance. It can be a learn of entertainment. It can be a form of escape and avoidance. If silence feels unbearable, it's not because you're broken. It's because something inside you is finally ready to be heard. Truth is healing is not dramatic. It's not flashy. It does not feel like constant progress. It feels like fewer justifications, more healthy boundaries, less chasing, more self-respect, quieter nervous system. Avoidance keeps you busy. Healing makes you free. And the deepest question you can ask yourself is not, am I growing? But, am I finally willing to feel what I've been running from? Feel it and process it, that is, in a healthy way. As always, thank you for tuning into the Resilience Across Borders podcast. Please make sure to share the podcast and review it. That helps us, that gives us feedback, that encourages us to make more and more of these episodes. And you can follow the blog, it's at resilience.com. And remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to others and stay resilient.